The year was 2157, and humanity had spread across the stars. New Montana was one of their most successful colonies, a beautiful world with rich soil and clean water. 3 million people called it home, farming the land and building new cities under blue-purple skies. Governor Frank Miller had led the colony for 7 years, helping it grow from a struggling outpost to a place where people could truly live well. Lieutenant Olivia Barnes stood at her monitoring station in the colony's small defense center. She was 32 years old with short brown hair and eyes that missed nothing. For the third time this week, she noticed strange signals at the edge of their star system. They would appear for a few minutes, then vanish without explanation. "Sir, I'm picking up those anomalies again," she said to her supervisor, Captain Peter Scott. Captain Scott looked up from his coffee with a tired expression. "Run the diagnostics again. Probably just solar interference." Olivia frowned. She had already run diagnostics twice. The equipment was working fine. Something was out there, appearing and disappearing. "I think we should alert the governor," she said. "This pattern doesn't match any natural phenomenon I've ever seen." Captain Scott sighed. "Barnes, we've been over this. The last thing we need is to cause panic before the Founding Day celebrations. If you're really concerned, talk to Dr. Wright. If he thinks it's worth bothering the governor, then fine." Olivia nodded stiffly and copied the data to her tablet. She left the defense center and walked across the main colony square, where workers were setting up decorations for the upcoming Founding Day parade. Children played near the fountain while their parents shopped at small market stalls. Everyone seemed happy and safe. Olivia wanted to keep it that way. She found Dr. Alan Wright in his laboratory at the colony science building. The scientist was bent over a soil sample, his gray hair wild as usual. "Lieutenant Barnes," he said without looking up. "Let me guess. More ghosts in the machine." Olivia displayed her data on the main screen. "These signals have appeared 7 times in the past 2 weeks. They don't match any known pattern, natural or human." Dr. Wright finally looked at the screen, adjusting his glasses. "Interesting, but hardly alarming. Could be sensor echoes from passing comets or feedback from the new communication satellites. All 7 times, the signal appeared exactly 2.7 light minutes from the colony, then vanished completely." Olivia insisted. "That's not natural." Dr. Wright smiled kindly. "Lieutenant, in the 60 years since humans left Earth, we've explored dozens of star systems. We've found bacteria, plants, even simple animals. But intelligent life? Not a trace. The odds that we've suddenly found it here, at our little colony, are extremely low." Olivia knew he was probably right, but something felt wrong. "Just promise you'll keep this data and review it after the celebrations." "Of course," he agreed, though she could tell he was just being polite. That evening, Olivia walked to her small apartment near the defense center. The larger of New Montana's 2 moons was rising, casting silver light across the wheat fields outside the colony perimeter. She stopped to admire the view and found herself thinking about Earth. She had been born there but left when she was just 20. Sometimes she missed the crowded cities and vast oceans of humanity's homeworld. A family walked past her, a father, mother, and 2 young boys. They were laughing, excited about tomorrow's parade. Olivia smiled at them. This was why she had joined Colony Defense, to protect this new world where people could build better lives. As she entered her apartment, her communication device beeped. Another anomaly had appeared, stronger this time. She quickly changed course and headed back to the defense center. The strange signal vanished before she arrived, but she logged it anyway. 17 minutes, she muttered to herself. Each time, it stays a little longer. She stared at the starry sky through the window, suddenly feeling very small. Something was watching them. She was sure of it now, but no one would believe her until she had proof. Tomorrow was Founding Day. The whole colony would be celebrating. Olivia hoped that by then, she would have convinced someone that they might not be alone anymore. The morning of Founding Day dawned bright and clear on New Montana. Streets filled with excited colonists dressed in their best clothes. Children waved small flags showing Earth and New Montana side by side. Colony security personnel lined the parade route, but they were relaxed and smiling. Today was a day for celebration, not worry. Lieutenant Olivia Barnes couldn't shake her unease. She had been at her station since before sunrise, watching for more strange signals. Nothing had appeared, but that only made her more nervous. "You should be out enjoying the parade," said Captain Scott as he entered the defense center. "There's nothing happening here." "I'd rather stay, sir," she replied. "Just for another hour." Scott shrugged. "Suit yourself. I'm heading down to watch the governor's speech." After he left, Olivia checked all systems again. Everything looked normal. Maybe she really was worrying over nothing. She decided to take a quick break and grabbed her jacket. The moment she stepped outside, she felt the ground shake. A deep rumble filled the air, like thunder but much closer. She looked up. 7 ships had appeared in the sky above New Montana. They were unlike any human vessels Olivia had ever seen. Dark metal shaped like arrowheads, each one bigger than the colony's largest building. For 3 seconds, everyone on the streets stood frozen, staring upward. Then beams of red light shot down from the ships. The first beam hit the colony's power plant. It exploded in a ball of fire, sending debris flying in all directions. People began to scream and run. More beams struck buildings around the colony square. The parade viewing platform collapsed. Olivia ran back to the defense center. "Emergency protocols. We're under attack," she shouted into her communicator. Alarms began to sound throughout the colony. Governor Frank Miller rushed into the central communications hub. His formal suit was torn and dusty. "Get me a channel to Earth," he ordered, "and activate all defense systems." Olivia knew those defenses were minimal, designed to handle pirates or rebels, not an alien attack force. Still, the colony's 2 defense guns powered up and began firing at the closest ship. The shots bounced off some kind of energy shield. The governor stood before the emergency broadcast system. His face was pale but determined. "This is Governor Frank Miller of New Montana Colony. We are under attack by unknown forces. Repeat, we are under attack. Multiple ships have appeared in air." Another explosion rocked the building. The lights flickered. "Send this message to Earth immediately," Miller continued. "We need." One of the technicians looked up in horror. "Sir, they've destroyed our main communication array." "Switch to the backup system," ordered Miller. Olivia worked furiously at her console, trying to establish any kind of defense. Nothing seemed to work against the alien ships. Through the windows, she could see people running toward the emergency shelters. Many wouldn't make it. "Backup system online. Call the technician. Broadcasting now." Miller spoke again, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Earth Command, this is New Montana. We are facing extinction-level attack from unknown alien vessels. No warning, no communication. They are targeting civilian areas. We have no effective defense. Please send help immediately." Another blast hit the defense center directly. Part of the ceiling collapsed. Olivia pulled the governor away from falling debris. "Sir, we need to get to the emergency bunker," she said. As they ran through burning hallways, Olivia heard a new sound, a high-pitched whine that seemed to penetrate her skull. Through shattered windows, she saw smaller craft descending from the motherships. "They're landing," she whispered. Governor Miller stopped running. His face showed terrible understanding. "Our message might not have gotten through. Someone has to survive to tell Earth what happened here." He grabbed Olivia's arm. "Lieutenant, get to the emergency shuttles. Take anyone you can. Go." Olivia wanted to argue, but the governor's expression stopped her. This was an order. "Yes, sir," she said, her throat tight. As she ran toward the colony's small spaceport, explosions continued around her. The aliens weren't just destroying infrastructure, they were systematically eliminating the entire colony. She wondered why, but there was no time to think about it now. Survival came first. Then, if she made it, there would be time for answers. And after answers would come something else. Revenge. Admiral George Thompson was asleep when the call came. The soft peep of his secure line pulled him from dreams of his childhood home in Colorado. He rolled over and checked the time. 300 hours, Earth Standard Time. Nothing good ever came from calls at this hour. "Thompson," he answered, his voice still rough with sleep. "Admiral, this is Central Command. We've received a partial emergency transmission from New Montana Colony. You need to see this immediately." Thompson sat up, fully awake now. "Send it to my home terminal. I'll be at headquarters in 20 minutes. He dressed quickly in his dark blue uniform, with 4 gold stars on each shoulder. At 62, George Thompson was the highest-ranking officer in Earth's defense fleet. He had fought in the Mars insurgency 30 years ago and helped build Earth's first deep space warships. But in all his years of service, he had never faced anything like what he was about to see. The message from New Montana was broken and filled with static. Governor Miller's face appeared, then disappeared. Words came through in fragments. Under attack. Unknown ships. Civilian targets. No warning. Then the screen showed a few seconds of footage from the colony. Strange ships in the sky, buildings in flames, people running in terror. Thompson's driver took him through the quiet streets of Washington, D.C. to fleet headquarters. The massive building was already buzzing with activity despite the early hour. Junior officers stepped aside as Thompson strode through the halls to the emergency command center. President Julia Carter was already there, her face grim. She didn't waste time with greetings. "How bad is it?" she asked. "Bad," Thompson replied. The message cut off mid-transmission. "We've tried to re-establish contact with no success. All communication with New Montana has gone silent." "Do we know who attacked them?" the president asked. "No, ma'am. But the ships in the footage don't match any known human design." The room went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally found intelligent alien life, and their first action had been to attack without warning. President Carter looked at the frozen image of an alien ship on the main screen. She was 58 years old, with streaks of gray in her dark hair. She had led Earth through economic troubles and political conflicts. Now she faced something no human leader had ever faced before. "How quickly can we respond?" she asked. Admiral Thompson turned to a star map. "The UED carrier _Retribution_ is closest, about 4 days from New Montana at maximum speed. It carries a full strike group and has enough firepower to handle most threats." 4 days, the president repeated. "The colony might be completely destroyed by then." "Yes, ma'am, but it's the best we can do." President Carter stood straight, her decision made. "Send the _Retribution_ and prepare every combat-ready ship. We have to follow them. I want our full military force ready to move." "Yes, Madam President," Thompson said. "And Admiral," she added, "I want to address the people of Earth and our colonies in 1 hour. They need to know what's happening." 1 hour later, billions of humans across Earth and every colony world watched as President Carter stood before the world's flags. "Citizens of Earth and her colonies," she began, her voice steady. "Today, we face the darkest moment in our history as a spacefaring people. This morning, our colony on New Montana was attacked without warning or provocation by non-human forces." She paused as gasps and murmurs spread through the gathered press. "The attack was brutal and targeted civilians. We have lost contact with the colony. We do not yet know how many of our people have survived, if any." Her eyes hardened as she continued. "I have ordered our defense fleet to respond with full force. Humanity will not allow the unprovoked slaughter of our people to go unanswered." In his office, Admiral Thompson watched the address while preparing orders for every ship captain in the fleet. On his desk sat a photo of his son who had moved to New Montana 3 years ago. As the president finished her speech, Thompson picked up the photo. "We're coming," he whispered. And God help the aliens when we arrive. Vice Admiral Hector Ramirez stood on the bridge of the UED carrier _Retribution_ as it dropped out of hyperspace near New Montana. At 55, he had gray at his temples and scars from the Mars insurgency on his hands. He had fought other humans before, but never aliens. No human had. "Status report," he ordered, his voice calm despite the tension on the bridge. "All systems normal after hyperspace exit," reported his second-in-command. "Scans of the system beginning now." The main screen showed New Montana, still blue and green from space. It looked peaceful from this distance, but as the ship moved closer, the damage became visible. Debris filled the orbit where space stations had once been. Black scars marked the planet's surface where cities had stood. "Life signs?" Ramirez asked quietly. A young officer at the sensor station looked up, her face pale. "Scattered readings, sir. Mostly in remote areas away from the main settlements. Estimate fewer than 500,000 survivors from the original population of 3 million. Ramirez closed his eyes briefly. He had expected bad news, but this was a massacre. "Launch rescue shuttles to the strongest life sign clusters," he ordered, "and send fighter patrols to secure the area. I want to know if those alien ships are still here." As the crew rushed to obey, Commander Lisa Patil approached. She was the fleet's top intelligence officer, assigned specifically to this mission. "Admiral, we're detecting unusual objects in orbit," she said. "They appear to be small drones, possibly for observation." Ramirez turned to her sharply. "They left watchers. They wanted to see what happened after the attack." "Yes, sir. And there's more." She handed him a tablet. "We've captured one of the drones. Its data storage contains detailed information about human colonies, not just New Montana, all of them." The bridge fell silent as the meaning sank in. "This wasn't a random encounter," Ramirez said. "They knew about us before they attacked." "Yes, sir. The data suggests a species calling themselves the Vasque Hegemony. They've been studying us for years." Lieutenant Steve Bennett led the first fighter patrol down to the surface. What he saw sickened him. The colony's capital city was nothing but ash and rubble. Bodies lay in the streets. Buildings that had taken years to construct were destroyed in minutes. His patrol found survivors hiding in the forests outside the city. Many were injured. All were traumatized. They spoke of the sudden attack, of people running as death rained from the sky. One survivor, a colony defense officer named Olivia Barnes, had more useful information. She had been monitoring strange signals before the attack and had seen the alien ships up close. "They weren't just destroying," she told Bennett as medics treated her injured leg. "They were studying us as they killed, taking readings, like we were some kind of experiment." Back on the _Retribution_, Commander Patel made a discovery that changed everything. The captured drone contained navigational data, the path the alien fleet had taken after destroying New Montana. "They're heading toward the Sigma Draconis system," she reported to Admiral Ramirez. "Based on their course and speed, they'll arrive in 6 days." "What's in Sigma Draconis?" Ramirez asked. "Nothing yet, sir," Patil replied. "But it's only 2 jumps away from our colony on New Earth. Population 12 million. Ramirez understood immediately. They're staging for another attack, a bigger one. He called Earth Command with the information. The response came directly from Admiral Thompson. "New orders, Hector," Thompson said, his face grim on the communication screen. "Rescue operations at New Montana are now secondary. Your primary mission is pursuit and engagement of the alien fleet." "Yes, sir," Ramirez replied. "The rest of the fleet will join you in 48 hours, Thompson continued. "We're sending everything we have. Stop those bastards before they hit another colony." After the call ended, Ramirez gathered his officers. "The mission has changed," he told them. "We're no longer just a rescue operation. We are now the first human military force to engage an alien enemy." He looked at their faces, some afraid, some angry, all determined. They struck first, Ramirez said. They didn't bother to communicate or negotiate. They simply decided to kill our people. Now they'll learn what happens when you attack humanity. The UED carrier _Retribution moved silently through space, its engines running dark. Behind it followed 37 warships, the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. They were hunting. Captain Wendy Rodriguez sat in the cockpit of her scout ship at the front of the formation. Her job was to find the enemy without being detected herself. It was dangerous work, but she was the best pilot in the fleet. Approaching the coordinates, she said quietly to her small crew, "Passive scans only." The Sigma Draconis system appeared on her screens. It was mostly empty space with a few gas giants and asteroid fields. Perfect for hiding. For 2 days, they searched carefully. The main fleet stayed at the edge of the system, while scout ships like Rodriguez checked every possible hiding spot. Admiral Ramirez was patient. The aliens, the Vask, had to be found before they could attack another colony. On the 3rd day, Rodriguez's scanner picked up unusual energy readings near the system's 4th planet. She moved her ship closer, staying hidden behind a large moon. There, she whispered as her screen filled with images. 7 large ships, the same ones that had attacked New Montana, plus 15 smaller vessels. They were gathering in formation, preparing to jump to their next target. "Scout Ship Alpha to _Retribution _," she said into her communicator. "Target located. Sending coordinates now." Back on the carrier, Admiral Ramirez received the information. He immediately called all his ship captains to a final briefing. "The enemy fleet has been found," he told them. "They appear to be preparing for their next attack. We have perhaps 12 hours before they move." Commander Patel displayed the battle plan. It had been created by Earth's most advanced military AI, using data from the New Montana attack. The Vask ships have strong forward shields, but weaker protection on the sides and rear, she explained. They rely on energy weapons with a 20-second recharge time. Our strategy is to approach from multiple vectors and concentrate fire on their weak points. Lieutenant Steve Bennett listened carefully. He would lead a fighter squadron in the first wave. His hands were steady, but his mind kept returning to the images of New Montana. The dead in the streets, the burned buildings, the children who would never grow up. "This isn't just about stopping their next attack," Ramirez said, reading the room. "This is about showing them, and any other alien species watching, that humanity cannot be attacked without consequences." He looked at each officer in turn. "They thought we would be easy prey. They were wrong." As the meeting ended, Lieutenant Bennett returned to his quarters. He recorded a short message for his wife and children back on Earth, telling them he loved them. Many pilots did the same. They all knew that tomorrow would bring humanity's first space battle against an alien enemy. Not everyone would survive. At 400-hour ship time, the human fleet moved into position. They split into 3 battle groups, each approaching the Vask fleet from a different direction. The plan was to catch the aliens by surprise, surrounding them before they could organize a defense. Captain Rodriguez's scout ships led the way, sending back real-time data on enemy positions. The human ships moved with perfect coordination, their crews silent and focused. On the bridge of the _Retribution _, Admiral Ramirez watched the tactical display. The Vask still hadn't detected them. The element of surprise was working. "All ships, final positions," he ordered. "Weapons hot. Prepare to engage on my mark." For a moment, there was complete silence on the bridge. They had traveled across the stars to this point. They were about to make history, the first humans to strike back against an alien aggressor. Ramirez thought of the survivors on New Montana, of the millions who had died, of the colonies that would be next if they failed here. His voice was calm but firm as he gave the order that would echo through human history. For New Montana, all ships, attack. The human fleet dropped their stealth systems and accelerated toward the unsuspecting Vask. Hundreds of missiles launched simultaneously, followed by fighter squadrons led by Lieutenant Bennett. The stars themselves seemed to light up with the beginning of humanity's revenge. The Vask had started this war. Humanity would finish it. The Vask didn't see the attack coming until it was too late. Their ships were caught in maintenance mode, shields at minimum power. As the first human missiles struck, alarms blared across their fleet. Lieutenant Steve Bennett led his fighter squadron straight toward the largest Vask ship. His targeting computer locked onto a weak spot near its engines. "Alpha Squadron, stay in formation," he ordered calmly. "Fire on my mark." 20 fighters released missiles simultaneously. The explosions tore through the alien ship's rear defenses, leaving its propulsion systems exposed. On the bridge of the Retribution Admiral Ramirez watched the battle unfold. The human fleet had achieved complete surprise, just as planned. "Fleet Commander Douglas, proceed with main assault," Ramirez ordered. Eric Douglas commanded the largest battleship in the human fleet, the Judgment. His ship carried weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. The plan wasn't just to win. It was to capture alien technology and prisoners. "Target their flagship," Douglas told his weapons officer. "Disable their engines and communications." The Judgment fired specialized EMP weapons that overloaded the Vask flagship systems. The alien ship's lights flickered and died as it drifted helplessly. The Vask were not defenseless for long. Their remaining ships formed a protective circle, energy weapons charging. When they fired, 3 human frigates took direct hits. 1 exploded immediately. The others managed to retreat with heavy damage. "They're adapting to our tactics," Commander Patel warned. "Their weapons are more powerful than we expected." Ramirez nodded grimly. "Initiate Phase 2. Phase 2 was the riskiest part of the battle plan. While the main fleet engaged the Vask head-on, smaller ships would slip behind them, using the gas giant's gravity as cover. These ships carried boarding teams ready to capture the disabled Vask flagship. Captain Rodriguez led this mission. Her scout ship moved silently through the debris of battle, approaching the massive alien vessel from below. "Boarding teams ready," she reported, preparing to attach to their hull. Meanwhile, the battle intensified. The Vask recovered from their initial surprise and began to coordinate their defense. Their remaining ships moved with unexpected speed, targeting human vessels with precision. Lieutenant Bennett's fighter took a glancing hit that spun it out of formation. As he struggled to regain control, he saw 3 of his squadron's fighters explode. Rage filled him, but he kept his voice steady as he ordered his remaining pilots to regroup. "New attack pattern," he said. "They expect us to come in straight lines. Let's show them how humans really fight." His fighters broke formation, each taking a different approach vector. They flew unpredictable patterns, making it impossible for the Vask tracking systems to lock onto them. This was pure human piloting skill against alien technology. Bennett led his fighters in a wild spiral around the Vask ships, drawing their fire while the main fleet moved into position for another coordinated strike. On the Vask flagship, Captain Rodriguez's boarding team cut through the alien hull. 20 human soldiers in combat armor moved carefully into the strange corridors of the alien ship. They had studied the drone data and knew roughly where to find the bridge. "Remember, we need prisoners and data," Rodriguez reminded her team. "Stun weapons only unless necessary." The aliens they encountered were tall, with gray-green skin and 4 arms. They fought fiercely but were unprepared for close combat. The human boarding team pushed forward, room by room. The battle outside reached its turning point. The Vask ships, caught between the main fleet and Bennett's harassing fighters, couldn't maintain their defensive formation. Admiral Ramirez ordered all ships to fire at once. The coordinated barrage overwhelmed the remaining Vask shields. 2 of their ships exploded. 3 more suffered critical damage. Only their last destroyer remained fully functional, and it suddenly stopped firing. "Sir," reported a communications officer on the Retribution. "We're receiving a transmission from the Vask ship. It appears to be a surrender signal. The bridge went silent. After less than 6 hours of battle, the vast fleet had been destroyed or disabled. The species that had so casually attacked New Montana was now begging for mercy. Admiral Ramirez's face showed no emotion as he gave his next order. Accept their surrender. Inform them that any attempt to flee will result in immediate destruction. Humanity had won its first interstellar battle. 1 month after the Battle of Sigma Draconis, a single human ship approached the edge of vast territory. It was smaller than a warship but larger than a scout vessel. It carried no weapons, only powerful communication equipment. This mission had been debated at the highest levels of Earth's government. Some wanted to continue the attack, to strike at the vast homeworld as they had struck at New Montana. Others argued for restraint, for trying to establish peace now that humanity had shown its strength. In the end, President Carter had made the decision herself. "We are not them," she told her advisors. "We will not attack civilian populations without warning, but we will make sure they never threaten us again." The ship carried a simple message, translated into the Vask language using data captured from their flagship. As it reached the border of Vask space, it began broadcasting on all frequencies. Inside the main Vask government building on their homeworld, the ruling council gathered to watch the human transmission. They had already received reports about their fleet's destruction. Now they would hear directly from the species they had so gravely underestimated. The message began with footage of New Montana before the attack. Peaceful streets, families working and playing, farms and factories and schools. Then it showed the colony after. Burning buildings, dead civilians, destruction on a massive scale. Next came images of the Vask fleet's destruction. The council members watched in silence as their mighty warships were systematically disabled or destroyed by the human counterattack. Finally, President Carter appeared on screen. She stood straight, her expression serious but not angry. "I speak to the leaders of the Vask hegemony," she said, her words carefully translated. "Your forces attacked our colony without provocation or declaration. You killed millions of our people. We responded in kind." She paused, letting the words sink in. "This was your first and final warning. Should any human world or vessel be threatened again, our response will not end with your fleet. We have mapped your colonies. We know the location of your homeworld. We offer peace between our species if you desire it. We guarantee extinction if you prefer war. The choice is yours." The transmission ended. The vast council room erupted in panicked discussion. Their military advisor, still shaken from reviewing the battle data, raised his voice above the others. "You must understand what this means," he said urgently. "The humans defeated our best fleet while using less than 15% of their total military capacity. They deliberately left our homeworld untouched when they could have struck immediately." The council leader, older and wiser than most, nodded slowly. "They showed restraint, not weakness, but control. They are giving us a choice that we did not give them." 3 days later, a Vask ship departed for Earth. It carried their highest-ranking diplomat and a formal request for peace negotiations. On Earth, the survivors of New Montana were being settled in temporary homes. Construction had begun on a monument, a stark memorial to those who had died in humanity's first encounter with hostile alien life. Lieutenant Olivia Barnes stood at the window of her hospital room, watching ships come and go from Earth's orbit. Her leg was healing, but the memories of New Montana would never fade. Admiral Ramirez visited her that afternoon. He wore his formal uniform, now decorated with new medals for the victory at Sigma Draconis. "The Vask have requested peace talks," he told her. "They've agreed to pay reparations for New Montana and to help us recover any survivors still trapped there." "Will it be enough?" Barnes asked quietly. Ramirez had no easy answer. "Nothing can bring back those we lost. But we've shown the galaxy that humanity cannot be attacked without consequences. That matters for our future." As he left, Ramirez handed her a small data chip. "The president would like you to join the diplomatic team for the peace negotiations. You saw the attack firsthand. Your voice should be heard." Barnes looked at the chip, then back at the stars visible through her window. Somewhere out there, other alien species might be watching, learning from the Vask's mistake. The message was clear. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage. They came in peace, but they would respond to violence with overwhelming force. They had been tested and had proven their strength. Any species thinking of challenging humanity again would face a simple truth: Earth protects its own, and its vengeance is swift and merciless.